Welcome to my channel. So for this tutorial, you are going to need your pattern master, your tape, your marker, pen or pencil, your ruler, scissors, your measurement or the measurement of your client, and your pattern paper, calendar or plain sheet. So we're going to be starting with the front bodice, and what we're going to do is to apply the shoulder measurements, which is 16, and we divide it by 2, and we get 8. So I'm going to be applying 8 inches on the pattern paper. The next thing we have to do is the neck. So I'm going to be using 4 by 4, that is 4 inch wide and 4 inches for the depth. You can adjust it to how you want, depending on how deep or wide you want the neck to be. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be sticking to the 4 inch for the depth and for the width. So you can see I'm joining the lines now. This is to help me when I'm going to curve it. The next thing to do now is to create a curve between the 2 points on the shoulder and the center front. You create a curve. So the next thing to do is to apply the armhole, which is 16 divided by 2 is 8, and then you add ½ inch for the shoulder slant. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches, and I'm going to move on to the shoulder part and mark ½ inch down. You can see I'm measuring ½ inch down now on the shoulder line, and I'm going to join it from the point on the shoulder towards the neck towards the armhole. And the next thing I'm going to do is to extend the lines so that when I apply the bust measurement very soon, I'll have enough line to join as a curve. So I'm extending the lines now. So I'm going to be applying other measurements. So the first one I'm going to be applying is the shoulder to the bust point or to the nipple point. I'm going to be starting at that point, so you can watch what I'm doing. I'm putting it to the shoulder, and then I'm going to be applying the point from the shoulder to the bust point, which is 10 for this my client. For yourself or for your client, it will range and it varies. So please take your measurement correctly and then apply it. I'm joining the lines. This is to enable you see which side is the bust point and which side is the under bust or any other measurement. So I'm still applying the other measurements. Now I'm applying the shoulder to the under bust, and mine is 13 inches. So you can see I'm marking them, and I'm going to be joining this with a ruler. The next measurement we're going to apply is the shoulder to the waist. I'm marking it here out so that you can know the difference. So the shoulder to the waist is 17 inches. So I'm going to mark 17 inches. And I'm going to be joining this with a straight line. And I'm going to be labeling it like the others. The last part we're going to mark now is the full length of the dress. Usually the full length of the top rather, usually this ends at the hip. It could be 24, it could be 25, it could be 26. But for this client, it is 26. So I'm going to be measuring 26 inches for the full length of the top. I'm going to be joining this with a straight line as well, like the others. And after doing this, I will label it FL, which stands for full length. So we're going to be moving to the armhole now to create an armhole curve, because the front armhole is not straight. So you have to divide your armhole measurement by 2 and mark the point. Mine is 4, so I've marked 4, and I'm going in by ½ inch. Please do not go in more than this. ½ inch is the standard. So I'm going to be applying the bust measurement, which is 36 divided by 4, and that is 9. I'm marking 9. I'm going to join the curve at the armhole now, starting from the shoulder slant to the ½ inch I took inside, and then to the bust measurement. You can see the curve. I should have used this pattern master, but I wanted this to be very simple and straight to the point for anyone, so that anyone that doesn't have the pattern master can also do this with a freehand sketch. So the next thing we're going to do is to apply the waist measurement, and you can see the importance of labeling it. I now know the difference on which line stands for the waist. The waist is 28 divided by 4 is 7, so we're going to mark 7 inches. We're moving on to the hips. The hips is 36 divided by 4 is 9, so we've marked 9 inches. So from the bust, we're going to join it to the waist and then to the hips. The importance of dividing it by 4 is because you are going to fold your fabric into 4. That is because the front is going to be divided into 2 and the back is going to be divided into 2. So now we're going to be creating the darts. Remember the nipple to nipple points we took. Now we're going to apply that measurement, but just before we do that, we're going to take 2 inches below the bust point. You can see me marking it there, 2 inches below the bust point. Your dart should not end on the bust except it's a stretchy fabric. So we're going to measure the nipple to nipple. We're going to apply the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 divided by 2, and that is 3.5. At the point you mark the nipple to nipple measurement, you're going to take ½ inch on both sides. You also apply the 3.5 to the earlier point you marked, so that it could be in a straight line. Now we're joining that point to the ½ inch on either sides. So for the front part, you can make it 3, 4 or even 5 inches as you desire for the length of the dart, but we are going to work with 4 inches. We are also going to apply the nipple to nipple measurement and ensure it is on the 3.5. Now you can see I've joined it together. So we are done with that. The dart is 1 inches, so we're going to transfer that 1 inches to the side, because we don't want to make the clothes that is going to be smaller than the client, so we have to replace the 1 inch we took as on the darts back to the side seam of the clothes of the top. So we are done with the front part of the bodice. Remember that the front part will be folded into 2 and the back part will be folded into 2, and that is in total you are folding it into 4. That is why you have to divide it by 4. That is why you have to divide the bust, the waist and the hips measurement by 4. So you can see I'm cutting this out. I'm cutting the neckline out and the shoulder slant. Please watch carefully. I am not cutting the curved edge, but I'm cutting the straight line and then curving it at the point where the curved line joined with the straight line. Please take note of this. We are doing this because this is going to help our back bodies easier to draft. So remember to cut on the straight line. Now we've gotten more paper for the back bodies. The first thing you have to do is to make the zipper allowance. So we're going to measure 1.5 inches from the edge of the paper, which is going to be our zipper allowance. We're going to be joining this with a straight line. And after drawing a straight line, we have to align the front bodies with that line. The center front of the front bodies has to meet that line, so that when we trace it out, it will be even. So you have to ensure it meets that line, like so. You can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to ensure everything is in order. I'm also labeling this so that you can know what that part is for. That is for the zipper allowance. So now we're going to be tracing all around the outline of the front bodies. And you see, there's no need of adding extra allowance for that at the waist of the back, because we've already added this to the front bodies. So all we have to do is to trace out the outline of the front bodies on this new paper. This is what makes this tutorial easy and straight to the point. Remember the armhole we cut out the straight line instead of the curve. You are also going to trace that out as a straight line, then towards the bust side you are going to curve it, and this is only applicable to the back. So we now are going to cut out, or before that we're going to measure the neckline for the back. The neckline for the back is usually higher, so we're going to use 1 inch for this, and then we're going to create a curve from the shoulder to the center back. We've created the neckline for the back. So now we're going to cut out on the curved line for the front bodies, because we've already traced the straight part on the back bodies. This is why I said you should leave that part as straight as it was and cut and trace it out on the back bodies first before cutting it out. So now we are going to be tracing some measurements on the back bodies, and we're going to be transferring the bust point to the back bodies. We're going to be tracing this out by drawing points at where the lines meet on the back. And then we're going to take this away and join those points with a straight line. We have to also get the waist, and in order to do this, we're going to bring back the pattern for the front part of the bodies and then trace to where the waist is. and then join this with a straight line. Also going to label this. So the next thing we have to do is to do that, just like how we did for the front. We're going to do this for the back. We're going to use the nipple to nipple measurement. We're going to measure it on, we're going to apply it to the waistline, and then we're going to also measure the nipple to nipple measurement on the bust point, and then beneath the waistline we're going to go down by 6 inches. On the waist measurement, on the nipple to nipple measurement, we're going to apply 1/2 inch on either sides, and we're going to make a straight line from the bust point to either sides of the point on the waist, and then you make a straight line to the point below the waistline. So now we're going to be working on the zipper board. You can take 1/2 inch, 1 inch, or 1.5 inches, but we're going to be using 1 inch. This is because the back is curved. Our backs are curved, so we have to mimic that by also curving or giving the back a curvy look to mimic how the back is. So we've taken in 1 inch on the waistline, and we're going to be joining this from the neckline. As you can see, I'm drawing a straight line to the waistline from the neckline, and then to the end of the top, that is the hip line. So I'm going to be replacing what I took. I'm going to be measuring the 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance. I'm going to be replacing it back, and I'm also going to start measuring from the neckline to the waist, and then to the hip line, which is the end of the top. As you can see, there is a curvy look at the back because our backs are curved. Our backs are not straight. So now we're going to cut this out. You can see that the back bodice has a straighter armhole than the front. We're cutting the down part of the back bodice. Watch where I'm cutting at the back. I'm cutting at the new line that I created. You can see I went in a bit by 1 inch, and then I'm going out again back to the original measurement. You can see I'm cutting the neckline for the back, and this is the shoulder, the shoulder slant. You can see the back is ready. It has the dart, and this is the center back of the back bodice. Everything is ready now, so you can see the waist measurements are equal and everything. So now you can see in this picture the down part of the top is curved at the edges. So this is to give it a more beautiful look, and to do this is just to apply 1.5, is just to measure 1.5 inch above the end of the top. This is to be applied to the sides of the top. That is, you can measure 1.5 inches, and then from the center front, you measure 2 or 2.5 inches, but I'm using 2 inches. This is where you are going to stop, and this is where you are going to curve it to the side of the top. You will not reach the center front, so to avoid causing issues, except you want to make this into a beautiful design. Some people prefer to make theirs shorter, but for this tutorial I'm using the first line I drew. You can see there's a curved edge now on the bodice. You can see the armhole, the front went in more than the back. Thank you for watching my tutorial. You can see the back and you can see the front bodice. Please subscribe to my channel, like and share with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.